Speaking of chicken parm, we got to get to.
Now I'm hungry.
Yeah, we got to get to Pizza Graham Plus.
Right? Yeah. Chicken parm night.
It's tomorrow night.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
There's a place here on 20
Oh,
called
yeah.
Pizza
You told me
Graham
about
Plus. They
this-
have a
this
great chicken
magical
parm
place.
night. That's free promotion, by the way.
Give us money.
It's great chicken
I
parm.
don't even need
It's
money.
cheap.
Just,
Give us free chicken parm.
It's fine.
All right. So to break down the Oregon State Colorado State game, I have Oregon State. You two have Colorado State. Hawaii versus UMass. I have Hawaii. Dan O'Shea has Hawaii. Tony, you have UMass. And the other three, we all agree, BYU, South Florida, and Stanford.
Let's see how we do in the first week, boys.
5-0 right here.
So this takes care of college football. Let's talk about NFL real quick.
Okay.
Particularly the terrible New York football.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, I thought you were going with Jets.
New York football Jets, New York football Giants.
Yeah, then that sounded like you were doing the New York football Giants. The Jets are obviously the worst of the two. Hackenberg got eaten alive by the Lions defense. And, the Lions defense isn't anything to laugh at, but I don't think they're the most ferocious that one might face. He didn't have any help from his line, though.
I thought the word ferocious, too. Are we both just thinking that because they're cats?
Probably.
Sounds about right.
But, man, his first play, I forget who it was, just came off the line completely unblocked and hammered Hackenberg, his first passing play.
Well, let me ask you. You're the Jets fan. I'm objective here. Why is Bryce Petty not the one being named the starter? Bryce Petty is.
I think they're just trying to see, how Hackenberg handles a first team, and
it's because they invested so much into Hackenberg. They want him.
Well, I think they've seen more from Petty, and they kind of know what to expect from him. Whereas Hackenberg, they're giving playing time to see if there's anything there. He did have some better footwork, he did have some decent passes here and there, but he's still staring down his receivers. He's barely getting to a second read, it looks like, in my book.
Same thing he did at Penn State.
Yeah.
Same thing he did at Penn
this
State.
for a while from him.
But the Jets' offensive line also, I could only watch the first quarter and a half.
That's really all you need to see.
That's all.
But he didn't really have much help from the line.
And I think we
He was
talked.
still overthrowing receivers.
We talked about that.
Which is
Remember?
just timing, but,
Remember when we talked about the NFL breakdown? I said the Jets line was absolutely atrocious, and you were trying to tell me it's not as bad as I think. It's bad.
No, it's bad. It's not. I don't think it's fully atrocious, but it's pretty bad. And it's. I think you were saying that Mangold's replacement is like terrible or something, and he's not terrible, but he's just
probably the best one on the line.
He's just serviceable, and Mangold wasn't only the center; he was the
director.
The embodiment of the line. Everyone on the line's play went down without him.
Well, that's the thing.
This line needs a ton of work.
As much as I dislike the Jets, Nick Mangold probably in the last how many quarterbacks have the Jets had?
A lot.
In the last 8 years since Mangold's been there, or how long has Mangold been there? He's been there a while.
Was in 2000. I want to say
4. That's what I thought.
I think that's when we drafted him. Yeah, because we got him and Brick, I think, the same draft.
He had the uncanny ability to read defenses like a quarterback. And he was very good at pointing out not only just the stunts and stuff that linebackers and linemen would do, but when he was calling out shifts, you could hear him call blitzes where the safeties weren't even creeping up. He read them like a quarterback.
Yeah.
That's so hard to replace.
Yeah,
he was the best quarterback on the team.
He was an amazing center. I miss him and his beautiful beard. and his mane of flowing golden hair. He was a Viking god in my book.
I missed DeBrickashaw Ferguson because he's got like one of the best names in football
the name
history.
the name is the best.
I love it.
But yeah, the line is bad. The QB play is bad. No Nunwa, so there's not, it's just a bunch of young green receivers that we're going to test out, and then Austin Safarian-Jenkins, who, has all those mental gaps to fill in. Maybe he's done it this season.
Let me ask
you.
you.
Too much of him.
Jets need a wide receiver. Cowboys need defensive help. Would you do Des Bryant for, let's not say Leonard Williams, because he's probably been the best.
Yeah, I would not trade Leonard Williams if I was the Jets.
What's his name?
Wilkerson?
Yeah, Muhammad Wilkerson or Sheldon Richardson.
I would not want Dez if I'm the Jets. What good is that going to do except to bring a big name to your team? There's no one to throw to him. There's no line play. He's just a receiver. And he's a great receiver, but one receiver is not going to make you a contending team.
Well, the one thing that he has is
not enough to make them good.
No, he has a still somewhat lengthy contract. So the Jets would be getting him not just for this year, it'd be for 2 years after.
Yeah, assuming you get the Des Bryant who you have right now in Dallas and what he's become. Who's to say Des Bryant doesn't get upset about going to the Jets and revert back to his own ways?
No, if I was the Jets, I would want to trade D-line for O-line and see, what the Cowboys can offer. I would probably take their worst starter.
I would try and rebuild that now.
Sheldon Richardson for Chaz Green.
Before they get a quarterback? That's what I would do.
Pick, and I'd do that in a heartbeat.
I mean, remember, in preseason, it was really close to being Muhammad Wilkerson for a third-round pick.
That's what I mean. It
was really close to just the...
Well, no, it was Richardson for the pick.
Wilkerson we
have signed for a while. No, I would do Richardson for Green in like a fourth or a fifth, something that's your GM's gonna be like, not a huge deal, gives us a little sweetener, because Richardson, while he's been good on the field, he's also had some locker room things, and maybe that was just Brandon Marshall versus him and just clashing personalities, but
I'm sure that's what it was.
Richardson and Wilkerson still need to live up to their contract.
Well,
I have
no.
not seen that on the field.
Richardson doesn't have the contract. Wilkerson does.
The problem with the two of them...
Richardson is acting... The way Richardson acts is he's acting like he deserves that kind of...
Right.
And if he wants to be in that conversation, he needs to start producing it.
Mm-hmm.
Stats speak volumes. That's it.
But the one thing that the Jets do have is defense so far. That's the one thing they do have. Their defense is, gonna get them any wins that they get this season. Marcus May and
Jamal Adams.
have shined.
Yeah, just shut it. It can make a sound.
Our cornerback play is pretty decent, which I'm pleasantly surprised by. Burris is stepping up, and our line has been good enough. Our linebackers have been getting some sacks. So I think that's the one area where we're not terrible. Is just the defensive unit as a whole is far ahead of the offensive unit.
Oh, of course.
No argument there.
Now, the one thing that I will say about the Jets is that they do have the right guy in the quarterback room with McCown.
Just because he's been everywhere on every team.
Here's the thing: if you take Bryce Petty's confidence, which he's got after taking that hit and getting back up, and you take the pure raw talent that Christian Hackenberg has and the ability to read a defense like McCown, you got Joe Montana. Problem is, you can't have all three of them on the field at the same time.
Well,
they might as well try it.
The Jets might be starting to experiment with brain-body transfers. I've heard rumors from Manish Mehta, and he's got unnamed sources that he's pulling out of his butt. And,
Yeah, but see, the last time a brain-body transfer happened, it just turned Derrick Rose's brain to mush.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure I saw that kind of on the Defenders.
Yeah,
I'm
but
pretty sure that's a Marvel thing.
I really
But
don't
for
want.
your sake, hopefully they're working.
yeah, hopefully.
I really-
breaking technology.
I don't want to defend the Jets, any of the Jets, because just they're the Jets. But the
What's your
problem,
hatred with them as a Cowboys fan?
it's not so much a hatred.
They share the building that the Giants do.
No, it's not so much a hatred for the Jets because they're the Jets.
It's
As
just
it-
the fans that you live.
Well, part the fans, but mostly because as a football fan, I absolutely hate bad football. So, like, I get the same way about the Bills and the Browns that I do because they're just perennial suck.
The Bills went to 4 Super Bowls in a row.
Okay, how
and their
long
fans
ago?
will never stop reminding us.
Listen,
All right,
listen,
they
if
lost
people-
them all.
If people tell me as a Cowboys fan, you got to stop living in the 90s, which I don't even. I don't care about what happened even last year. Cool,
Then
Patriots.
write a letter to Jones because he needs to stop caring and stop taking credit for it.
Cool, Patriots, you won the Super Bowl last year. Now we're in this year. What are you going to do? That's my
Talk
philosophy.
about last year. That's what Patriots fans always do.
That's my philosophy. But I will defend Sheldon Richardson because he even said it himself, when my hand's in the dirt, I'm unstoppable. Why do you take one of the best
And play
defensive
him out of
linemen,
position,
play him at
yeah.
linebacker? What? He's
it's
too
just
big
because
to be a
it's
linebacker.
Our personnel last year just was not suited to, especially to Bowles.
This is why Todd Bowles needs to be fired, and McCagnon needs to be fired. They both need to go out. They both need to go to hell in a handbasket.
It's been like 2 years. I think it's still, I think most coaches have said, 4 years is the timing.
Well, it's hard to judge a guy when you give him a broken car to drive.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait,
he's
so
a
then-
brand new head coach.
So then that's McCagnon. McCagnon's the one that bought the car.
No, that's Woody Johnson. He's the owner.
Yeah, but McCagnon is.
Maybe not for much longer.
I wish.
I don't
wish
know.
Woody Johnson would sell.
Because isn't
I
it Woody
hate
who's
him
being
more than-
considered for?
No, Robert
So-
Kraft.
He's no.
I'm
Woody's
pretty-
an ambassador to like England or something.
Oh,
so he's
yeah.
given up control. So maybe things might start improving.
Yeah, so maybe that'll luck out.
Because
You should have
he's-
given that to Dolan.
No, the problem is
Except for Dolan would probably ban the Queen somehow from Buckingham Palace.
Mike McCagnon has done absolutely very little right. The only thing since being with the Jets, the only thing that I think will save him is if the safeties work out. Because if they work out, then he looks like a genius. If they don't, then what has he done? He's drafted Hackenberg, which might possibly be the worst draft pick of all time. The Roberto Aguayo fans will say differently.
Tell that to Ryan Leaf.
Hack was a reach and a half. I think everyone was upset by that. I don't know what was going on in the Jets' war room.
Ryan Leaf was just bad. He was ready. He was just bad. Christian Hackenberg hasn't thrown a meaningful football,
Right, but
in 2 years.
he drafted Leonard Williams. He's drafted Jamal Adams and Marcus May, who look good so far. So I think this year is kind of one of those really big test years. If his picks pan out, then
You just have
fantastic.
to see some
If
kind
not-
of hope.
If not, then then those talks I think start, and that's what this year is going to be about for Jets fans. I don't think any of us are expecting to be good. I think I'm excited just to watch the young guys play
You
and
want to
see
see
what
some
we
hope.
have.
You want to see something
So
like
then-
that there's a plan in place, and even though it may not be immediate, you can at least see some kind of fruits for your labor.
So
Right.
you want a tank. Most Jets fans want a tank.
I
see
want a franchise quarterback.
what happens.
Well, this is the draft for you.
Well,
Yes.
let me ask you, what happens? McCown gets hurt, Hackenberg gets hurt, Bryce Petty as the third string quarterback wins 5 games for the Jets, but the rest of the games they've lost. Does that show you enough to say, okay, we can work with Petty, or Or do you not want Petty to succeed in that instance?
No, I want whoever to succeed. I would be happy if if Petty or Hackenberg like turned a corner and started,
So in this
finding
instance,
it.
you'd be fine with 5 and 11.